Hello, this is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. And you have come to the Granny Rock Show, where we have a chance to take in Beth's wit, wisdom, and very uncommon sense. Please chat with us, and I'll receive the chat and pass it over to Beth, and she'll talk to you.
Well, as usual, we had technical problems. We were here in plenty of time, and then it just wasn't working. But anyway, we got it working, and we are here. So don't turn it off. Tune in. So I didn't get to say very much about my topic tonight in the little blur because I had to start all over. But what I'm talking about tonight is you can't solve a problem that you don't admit you have, and that is a huge problem in this country, in this world. And I am very intent upon talking about this, despite the fact that it looked like we're never going to get on the air yet again. Oh,
And we already
no.
have some comments
Yes.
here. Tracy says, hola, and sends love. Same to you. And Amy says, hi, you two. I figured I'd see you soon. Double love, double hearts. Thank you, Amy. Karen says, yay.
And yay back. You are so right to yay. Anyway, guys, I have been thinking a lot about this topic. Not that I have anything planned about what I'm going to say, but I have been thinking a lot about this topic. And it came out of a meeting that we had the other day, one of my counseling groups, and there was a fellow in it who kept denying his problems. And obviously, if you deny a problem, you won't be able to fix it. And I mean, and what I mean by that is really very simple. If you don't admit that you have a flat tire, you won't change it. I mean, isn't that like obvious, right?
Right.
You can just say, gee, I wonder why the car is so bumpy. Looks like we have more.
Oh, yes, and Elizabeth says hi and sends a heart of love. Same back at you. And Catalina sends several waves of hello.
Hello back.
And Todd says hello and sends a heart of love.
Thank you.
Back at you, Todd.
Hello, 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 hello. So it's always obvious about something like, okay, well, of course, how can you're not going to change your tire because you think your tire is fine. You don't know what's wrong with their dog, and so you don't know what medication to give it. It's always kind of like that. But the most important thing that I'm saying about this is that we don't want to admit that we have a problem. So we always want it to be the other guy. And guess what? The other guy does have a problem. So, it's very easy because the other guy is as crazy as we are. So it becomes a constant they. I mean, do you want to look at some completely nonsensical arguments, in discussions? It's like, okay, abortion, anti-abortion, pro-abortion, pro-choice. It's not murder. It is murder. It's blah, 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 blah. And they are at fault. They are stupid. They are corrupt. They are terrible, whoever they is. And so it's... Now, I'm not saying it's not a serious problem and that there isn't a lot at stake and that there isn't a lot of pain at stake. But the attitude that we have to the discussion and to one another is pretty lame, usually, and no less so on this. It's like you see people taking up positions like on the chessboard, and they're ready to go at it. So what does this have to do with not solving a problem if you don't know you have one? Well, because the problem is us. Our mentality, our ways of looking at the world. And now I'm going to say something even more shocking. Most people are insane.
Oh, I thought they were nuts.
Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Now, at the same moment as we're looking at the abortion, anti-abortion, the pro-choice, the anti-choice, and the stupid shit stuff that people say, politicians say, and they're all, gathering their pawns for the attack or the defense. What we are missing is that people are crazy.
Mm.
And why is that? Because, and simultaneously, we're seeing some very interesting things showing up, like Naomi Judd, who is an old-time singer, like country singer, I think. So she just committed suicide at the age of 76 because she was suffering from anxiety and depression. And she spoke about it very honestly. And Michael Phelps, who is the most medaled athlete ever, I believe, in the Olympics, he has opened up about his anxiety and depression. And here are all these people that look like they're so successful. They have it all, right? Right? So how could they want to kill themselves or be miserable? Right? They're being miserable. So how does this compute? So what does this all have to do with everything that I've been talking about in abortion and anti-abortion? Well, what I'm saying is people are saying, well, we need to start paying more attention to mental health issues. We really do. Because the way we address things shows a lot of mental health issues in the way that we even talk about things and discuss things. Anybody who says anything on Facebook that can be construed by anybody as being against something that they are for is going to be subjected to vile and contemptuous behavior. Now, you say, well, that's just a handful of people. It isn't a handful of people. And it's a lot of people. So now, wait a minute. So what am I trying to say? So what I'm trying to say is one of the hugest problems we have is that people are not well mentally. And everything that we do is impacted by that. Now, Granny, how could you say such a thing?
Well, a lot of people have anxiety disorders or post-traumatic stress disorders or depression. And we all want to deny that.
Exactly. It's not us.
Unless we don't have a problem.
We don't have a problem.
I'm just feeling blue.
I'm feeling, or it's the problem is the government. Well, the trouble with the government is it's made up of people. And, and so is the electorate people. So now I want to talk about this a little bit more. Okay, so maybe some of you are pissed off at me right now, but think about it. Really seriously think about it. How can I say that we're pretty much all nuts? Well, you already started talking about some of the things. The enormous number of people who suffer from anxiety and depression. It's enormous, enormous, enormous. I'm not saying why. I'm not trying to explain it away right now. I'm just talking about how it's true. And those who are suffering from anxiety and depression often think that, oh my God, I'm suffering, 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 I'm suffering. Well, wait a minute. You and millions of other people are suffering the same condition, and you're looking around and you expect them to behave a little more sanely, but they don't because they're suffering. But it isn't just anxiety and depression, which is huge, and a huge business, by the way. Treating it or mistreating it or not being able to treat it. Then what to add to that? People who have PTSD, trauma. Who's had trauma? I mean, I haven't had trauma.
Who hasn't had trauma?
Who has not had trauma? Who has not? I have trauma. I'm PTSD. You have to treat me better because I'm PTSD. And you're saying that to somebody who was raped at knife point twice and who, that would happen to be me, and had a lot of other horrible things happen to her. But anyway, see, I don't have PTSD. I don't know what the hell that is. Anyway, I'm not putting down people who really do. My point is, everybody has trauma. Maybe your parents were self absorbed, narcissistic assholes. Or maybe they were alcoholics. Or maybe they were drug addicts. Or maybe they were busy working 3 jobs. Or maybe they were so busy fighting. Or maybe your mother was a rageaholic. Or maybe, your father was bipolar. Or maybe your father was depressed. Or, maybe your mother was an anxiety ridden nutcase. And
or maybe they traumatized you with corporeal punishment.
maybe they did, but why did they do that, James? See?
Yep,
See?
yep, yep, yep.
See? Now, how many people don't fly into rages? How many people do not have all kinds of reactivity? It's like, you said this to me? You said what? What did you say? And then they interpret or misinterpret or even interpret correctly. Doesn't matter. It's like, ah, 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 ah. Do you see what I'm saying? Are you getting the point that I'm making?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And so we have, and it's all true. I mean, I'm not denying it. People have been traumatized. It's unreal. Now, let's say, you say, well, I don't suffer from anxiety and depression. I don't have that problem. I'm fine. I'm fine. Well, I do have a few drinks every day. But I'm not an alcoholic because I haven't lost my job yet or my liver hasn't fallen out yet. So how many people are alcoholic or dependent on alcohol if you don't want to admit that you have a problem, or on drugs? Yeah, cocaine, mushrooms, fentanyl, cocktails of all sorts, not to speak of prescription drugs. Hey! Oh, but that has nothing to do with the issue that I'm bringing up. Poor mental health. How good is your mental health? And I haven't even mentioned gambling. I mean, addiction to sex. Addiction to anger, rage. My first thing that I ever do is get angry. How many of us don't do that? And then there's so many other addictions. I mean, pick a card, any card, food addiction. Oh, look around. Oh, people are fine. They're all fine. They're just like eating compulsively or starving compulsively or doing something, eating disorders. Am I making you depressed? Is anybody liking this show so far?
Yeah, that's there.
That's good. We're getting some likes. Anyway, what I'm saying is it's awful. When you look at it, it's awful. The state of mind that people are in, the anger, the fear. Now, I'm not talking about, now there's others, people with bipolar disorder. Let's say people with mood swings. Oh, I'm happy, I'm miserable. I'm happy, I'm miserable. I'm going to be a rock star. I can't even get out of bed. People with terrible mood swings. Oh,
And then Nancy has big wave. Hello.
Hello, Nancy. Thank you. So, okay, and then there are people who are absolutely delusional, but they don't think they're delusional. They think they're normal, right? And I have to say that some religious people are out of their minds, and they're so full of guilt and shame or anger, or they're hiding so much about themselves. So look at what we've just gone through. Anxiety, depression, mood swings, addictions of all kinds, anger, rageaholism, fear.
Anxiety.
Cherry says
And
good
Cherry,
morning.
says good morning.
Good morning to you, Cherry.
Good morning.
So, addiction to work, addiction to power. You don't think that's mental illness? Oh no, mental illness is either I have it and, I'm so sad and I really need help and poor me and help me, or I don't have that. That's other people. When you put it all together, and then of course there is people who are suffering because they don't have enough money, who don't have enough food. I mean, or who've had lead poisoning, or are having dementia, and control freaks. And then there is obsessive compulsive disorder where people just say the same things over and over and over and over. You argue with them, they're over and over and over, or they're hoarding, or they have 25 cats in their, one bedroom apartment. Guys, how can we expect to heal anything when we are so traumatized and sick ourselves?
And so often in denial about it.
And in denial about it, or thinking we are the only ones who have problems and we're not looking at the reality that everybody does. What are we going to do? I'm asking you right now, are you beginning to get an idea of the enormity of the problem? And then we say, the problem is social media. Well, yeah, social media gives people a chance to be pathological without taking any accountability. But they're already pathological, right? If you try to watch a lot of television or other things, you'll see how sick people's sense of humor is. How people get, like to see other people in pain. Oh, and then there are sociopaths and so. Well, so who's left? Is there anybody who's left? Of course, there's me because I am perfect. I am not reactive. No. Just don't get on some jag that I don't agree with. So how do you feel about what I'm saying so far? If anybody would like to make a comment, please do. Because we have a mental health crisis in this country. It's us. And it isn't just in this country. Vladimir Putin is not an American. And he's a pretty sick dude. And there's a lot of sick dudes in power and sick women too. And of course our boss is certainly one of those people who has real issues. They have issues. They're not mentally ill. They have issues. I have issues. They have issues. Everybody has issues. Tissues have issues. They're all. So we're talking around the subject. We're talking around the problem. The problem isn't social media. We have
Tracy says, I agree. We're all crazy.
Thank you, Tracy. We two. You agree?
I agree with that.
Okay, 3 people say there's a problem, and it's a serious problem. It is a very, very serious problem. Oh, and I forgot a whole other class of people. The blamers. Oh, the victims.
I don't have a problem. They're the problem.
They're the problem. I'm so wonderful, and I've been victimized again. So, think about yourself, which category you fit into. And don't even think there's a chance that you don't have something.
Oh, here's one.
What?
Elizabeth says, I agree, and looking at the hugeness of this problem feels really heavy.
Yes. 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 I agree, Elizabeth. I agree. But we can't solve the problem if we don't admit that we have it. So we need to look at ourselves, of course, and get very honest about our own emotional well-being and health. And we need to start taking care of our emotional well-being and health. It's like, that's not important. What's really important is that I get a raise. I need to get a raise, or I need to work more, or I need to have this. And I think people are really, when people stopped going to work in the office, a lot of them felt, I don't want to be there anymore. That's a toxic environment. Unfortunately, if you're at home with yourself, you're probably in a toxic environment too. That is the problem. Anyway. And then when you have people like Naomi Judd and Michael Phelps and many others talking openly, Richard Dreyfuss talks about being bipolar. Not that many people admit to being, psychotic, but oh, and marijuana addiction too. So, anyway, what do we do? The first thing we do is sit down together and say, my God, people are so sick and so traumatized. Why? Because of the things that have happened to them, because of their genetics, because of the parenting that they receive, because of the society that they grew up in. Because if on top of all of this you live in a racist society, which we do, and I mean, please, people who say, we're not, there's no racism in this country. I mean, the white people are being, abused. It's like, yeah, white people are being abused, but it doesn't mean there isn't any racism. I mean, it's like there's another factor, you see. So we have sexism, racism, the oppression of one class by another. All of this impinges upon our mental health and well being. When do we stop and say, this is the problem in American society, in all society, that we are sick, that we've been made sick? Most of us have been made sick by our conditioning and by our genetics and then by our behavior. Because if you already have a problem and you start to self-medicate, you may be actually making it worse. And we don't really have a lot of solutions right now. So, what are we going to do? We're going to admit it, and we're going to start by prioritizing mental health. Because if we don't, we can't solve anything. We can't solve the homeless problem. Oh, yeah, and then I haven't even mentioned the war veterans. Oh, my God. They have been so traumatized.
Oh, here we have a message. Binda says hello, good morning, namaste, namaste. Beautiful people out there, greetings, have a nice day. Namaste.
So one thing, now I'm not going to solve this problem tonight. I know, believe it or not. I'm not going to solve it. I'm bringing this to our attention.
We all have to be more honest, more forthcoming, and
that's
we have
right.
these problems and do something about it.
That's right. We really do. Whatever that is. And there are some things that we can do. I don't know how much I can squeeze in today or how much even that I know. I mean, we have to bring our heads together and say, why are our children so traumatized already? Why are there bullies? Why are kids bullies? Why are teenagers killing people? Why do people feel so freaked out that they have to have guns to shoot each other with accidentally when they're, drinking? Or, or that their children load the gun and kill themselves and each other. Why are we doing this? So the first thing is to say, yes, this is the number one problem in our world is our state of mental health and well-being. Could we really have a society where men beat women if those men were not sick? Or beat children? Or beat up each other? Why are our sports so full of insane competition
and
violence? This is our entertainment. Guys, I want to commit myself to the well-being of all. This is the most important battle. Because when we are well, we are capable of understanding what we're talking about. We're actually able to have conversations about what to do, about policies and all of that. But you know that we never have conversations about policies. We have conversations about who's going to be in power and who's going to oppress whom. That's what we're having conversations about. So the first thing that I'd like you to do this week is ask yourself every day, what have I done for my mental health today? Have I really understood that the people around me have their mental health issues too? Or am I just busy blaming, saying he this, she that, they this, they that, and they the other? Let's stop labeling each other in the most negative ways and try to understand each other. And that is the first step, just the first step, but it is a step. And then start asking what we can do. We do Granny Rock's show, which we hope will help people to become more sane. You know, we play music, which we really believe helps people to feel better, more positive, and more sane. We have our website, healingartsexplosion.com, where we have healing music that actually helps us to overcome some of the traumas of the past and to become more sane. We're making that available. You have a 21-day free trial. Go to the website. Check it out.
Tell them the website address.
I just did.
HealingArtsExplosion.com?
I think I did, or maybe I didn't. You know, who knows if I did or I didn't. And
I just said it, so.
come back next Wednesday for another edition of Granny Rocks Our World. No,
Granny Rocks.
And think about what I've said. Really, like, just take the week to think about it and come back next week, Wednesdays
couple of more minutes.
at 6:30. And tomorrow we have the program.
Beth Green's Magical Piano Improvisations.
That's right, Beth Green's Magical Piano Improvisations, where I play the piano and hope to help people to feel more sane and centered. But one of our biggest problems is that when other people are crazy, it's hard to hang on to your center, even if you have it in a fleeting moment.
It helps to have a support group of people who are trying to be better, trying to get better.
That's right.
We're doing that.
That's right. We do have a support group. Oh, speaking of which, we have a group every Wednesday night. See, this is 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. At 7:05 p.m. Pacific time, generally speaking, we're a little late tonight, we have a group called Seeing Through New Glasses, where we talk about the topics. If you feel stimulated or interested or like tweaked or whatever about our work here, what we're talking about at the Granny Rock Show, we have a place where you can go and talk about this and get support and really deepen your understanding.
Yeah, we do this on Zoom, and it's right there on the Facebook post. Just look for it.
Is it still on the Facebook post?
Well, last I knew.
Oh, I don't know if it is or it isn't. But if you want to know more about it, you can go to my website, bethgreen.org.
Mm-hmm.
www. Or https:// Anyway, and look for. Oh yeah, I think it may be in. I don't even know if it's still in the Facebook events page. We do this every single week. If you want to know more and you can't find it, write to me at bethgreen.org. Let's get real. Let's really start supporting each other. Think deeply about what I'm saying today, and let's come in next week ready to talk about what we're going to do to take on the pain of the world and the mental, emotional pain that drives our terrible behavior and our hurtfulness. And I'm going to take us out with some music. Feed yourself with good and healthy things, healthy food, healthy thoughts, beautiful music, walks in the park, get support, therapy. I'm a counselor myself. Stop putting poison in yourself, whether it's on the physical level or on the emotional level. Try to stay out of the anger and recommit to co-creating a healthy, happier world. I'm not ready to give up. I hope you're not either. Namaste.
Yes. Thanks for coming. Bye bye for now.